What is happening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card CEO. The boys are in the house, and we have none other than Aram Leighton on, the resident expert, the guru of all things baseball, and our buddy, to talk today about 2025 Bowman Draft that is releasing today, the day the episode aired.
Did he get another one? Oh! Gallo's on his way back. He got it! Santa Maria! Lindor again!
There it is! He did it! A 40-70 season and a season unlike any other in Major League Baseball history for Ronald Acuna Jr.
There's a drive to right, off the bat of Evan Konnor, and what a postseason he is having.
He hits this one hard. He hits it a mile to left. Mike Trout has ripped a home run.
What's up, guys? This is Mike Trout, and you're listening to Sports Card CEO with Kern, Bubba, and Hand.
So appreciate you guys tuning in. Boys, what's happening?
What's up?
Not much. I'm already just spent all last night racking through all the prices, trying to figure out, where we can average out who's selling for what. And I already have a bunch of big standouts, so I'm excited for that. Also picked up a pitcher card yesterday, which I haven't done in a little bit. So I'm excited to talk about that on the back end of the episode. And yeah, I'm pumped. I'm missing Kern, but I'm excited to get into all of this because we teased it last week and I've been excited since.
Yeah, for sure. And for our listeners, Kern is going to be away. He's dealing with some personal issues, and we're going to carry on the show kind of in his absence. Boys, in the kind of tradition of the CEOs, Gary, we're going to start off with a little roundtable. We'll let Bubba lead off, and then Aram, and then I'll close it out. So, Bubba, what's been going on in your world this week?
Yeah, we'll start on the personal side. I feel like, man, I've gone what a roller coaster the last 6-7 weeks have been for me. But honestly, I think coming out the other side of it, so much better. I had a lot of reflection to do around the holidays with my dad, what happened. I've come out this new year, man, swinging. And I feel like my mindset personally is the best it's been in a long time. I'm very focused, honestly, on my health. Yeah, that's been a real wake-up call for, with my dad and what I need to do. So I'm like laser focused right now on my health. When you guys are going to see the Bowman farmer here in about 5 months looking like Brad Pitt. So just prepare yourselves. So that's in full swing. On a mental side, and I talked to Ham about this yesterday a little bit. Like the focus for me this year is really just, now I want to keep that to everybody this year on your New Year's resolutions, because everybody starts a new year and has goals, dreams, aspirations, right?
Yeah.
I want this year to look like this. And you're going to find out really quick in the first, 11, 12, 13 days of the year, things already don't go exactly how you planned them, right?
Exactly.
So I think the big thing for me and my mindset right now is like life is short. And, and that's my message to everybody today is just enjoy your life. And I'm trying to really find things that like, I only want to do the things that I love, the things that I enjoy, like the things that I don't like, they're not gonna have a place in my universe. And so that's kind of where I've really got a good mindset with that right now, and trying to keep that balance on the personal side. So that's kind of my personal share of the week, but I feel like I feel good. I think eating clean, it really made me feel like I'm super high energy. So feeling good there. On a card front, man, like we are moving and shaking. Ham, as you know, obviously we've teamed up and are buying a lot. Last night, little Matt and I were texting at 9:30 last night, still getting deals done. So we're buying a lot. I'm kind of stockpiling right now. I honestly have never seen. I saw the end of the COVID market in cards. This is the best baseball card market there's ever been, and it's not even close. The market is red hot, and people are hoarding inventory, and so it makes it a really good time, in my opinion, where you can grab stuff you believe in and players. Like, there's a lot of money to be made in the next 90 days. Yeah. We're on hyper mode right now, acquiring and stockpiling and in preparation, but feel really good about it. Feel really good where we're sitting. So that's my week.
Word. Aram.
Well, I wanted to start too, Gary. I really appreciate you sharing that and like taking a like kind of jarring and very difficult personal life situation, get through it and turning it into a positive is always a valuable perspective. Sometimes, unfortunately, same thing happened to me when I lost my father. Like it takes sometimes just life shaking you like crazy. And then all of a sudden you have this valuable perspective you didn't have before. I'm glad to hear that. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I'm sure a lot of people, listening can take something valuable from that. And the other side of it too is for me, it's kind of what got me back into the hobby to honestly, because yes, we want to, invest and make money and have fun with it and be able to fund more of the hobby and be able to do different things. But the other side of it is I think I end up just having the most fun with this when I channel my dad and go back to being a kid in the sports card shop
Yeah.
and picking up cards. And since I've really focused on that and like tapped into that, I've been having so much fun. We talked about like the card burnout side of things and just kind of reminding myself why I enjoy it and why I do it so much. And, and sometimes we have partnership deals and all these different things. And you start to drift away from the why. And that's been a big thing for me this offseason. I've been going through a lot of the vintage cards over Christmas. My mom found even more stuff from my dad because he just collected a million different things. He also loved original photos. So like an original photo of Babe Ruth that I found in there. And so I've been starting to just get interested in other types of collectibles as well that I just think are fun. Of course, cards are always going to be the forefront, but just all these different things that get me excited leading into that, to your point, and not saying, I don't have time for that. I got to focus on cards. So I've been focusing on that front, but I'm trying to find a way to buy more right now. I sold a little bit about a month or two ago, and then I'm just trying to see if I can pick up over the next month or so, because there's a lot of players I like. But to your point, Gary, like the market is it's not the typical off-season soft. So I'm just kind of biting that, and I'm hoping that that's just a indication that we're going to have a really strong regular season as well.
Why don't I'm going to do a personal invite here live on the show. Why don't we come up with a little collection here? Hams, Bowman Farmer, and Aram. Why don't we have our own little like golden collection? Why don't we join in on us here, and we pick 10 cards, 15 cards, come together and do a little super. We could do some fun kind of prospecting collection here if you have any interest, man.
That would be a blast. I would love that, because also I need your guys' direction. I get too impulsive. I go to a game. Like Ham, you know Xavier Isaac, obviously. You have the connection there. And so happy. Again, talk about perspective. The perspective that kid has now going into this season, I'm sure is going to make him a baller. But I go there and I'm watching him in person. I'm watching him take BP. And I'm like, holy crap, this is one of the better young power hitters I've seen. Then I watch him homer twice in the spring breakout game, backside no doubter, then dead central. And I was about to get reckless and just start buying cards like crazy. Like, that's where I need to text you guys, and you guys need to be like, Aram, like, that's not a good price. Because then I just get too excited. So
Hey,
I would love
Aram,
that. I need you guys to recalibrate.
Call me first. Don't call Bubba, because Bubba will be right on board with you to be like, let's go, baby. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, Ham's the mental advisor on your emotions with cards.
Yeah, I have my own internal nickname for myself is the governor. You know how you have a governor on like the governor. If I have like the governor on the golf cart, so you don't go 400 miles an hour down the fairway, I'm the governor.
Yeah,
much to little Matt's chagrin sometimes, but I appreciate that input there, Arm. So yeah, on the personal side, Gary, I hear you talk about this, and again, I spent years doing executive coaching, personal coaching, speaking, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of my wheelhouse. You always think about this process, and it's a little bit graphic, but the birthing process, right? It's not comfortable. Like, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of tightness, there's a lot of squeezing, but ultimately the birthing is what comes. On the personal side, when you go through that type of tension, when you go through those types of difficulties, all they're doing is trying to birth out or bring forth kind of a new mindset, a new perspective, a new part of yourself. And if you're not willing to go through that struggle, that pain, that difficulty or whatever, you're never going to get to the other side of it. And so many people refuse to come through that because they refuse to go through that. And so they stay where they are in this place of struggle or whatever. So just a little bit of my 2 cents there. But yeah, I've been in a similar space, man. The new year has really brought forth just a lot of like open eyes. And I'm just kind of like looking around and just trusting the process, man, just knowing where you're supposed to step and just step and go. And just kind of having great faith in that journey. So that's been great for us and excited. On the card front, man, this new endeavor, Gary, where we've kind of partnered up and started buying cards or whatever, it's freed us up on the PC side to be able to do some stuff there. I bought 3 really, really nice Cal Ripken inserts. He's my guy. And I went and I bought the platinum medallion number to 100 PSA 10 pop 2, and I bought the Rose Zero in a PSA 8 fresh label number to 100 as well. And then today I bought a 97 finest die cut refractor. They only made like 60 of them. There's like 19 graded with PSA. So it's just been neat for me to do stuff like that. Little Matt and I have been able to continue to look at some Jordans, some vintage. while also staying extremely active in, the modern market and then stuff that we're looking, from an inventory standpoint. So I've had a fresh wind in my sail this year too. Big Matt, everybody wants to hate on Big Matt's got a little bit of run in him. He's got a little bit of hustle in him. You know what I mean? I've been doing this for a while. I'm just a refined version of myself. So if you wake me up, it could be dangerous.
Well, if it's the last thing I do, Ham, we are going to get Cal Ripken on the show one day. We're going to get Cal Ripken on the pod because I want to see you like a little schoolgirl at Disney on her first trip. When he pops out the back room, you're not going to even know that he's coming on. It's just going to be like, here's Cal Ripken. I mean, man. Total fangirl moment for you. We're going to get it done.
Love that guy, man. 10 years old, 1991 Toronto All-Star Game. It did me in. Well, to our listeners today, we are going to dive into 25 Bowman Draft. It releases today, which is, Wednesday, the day we're recording a couple days early. And then on the back end of the show, we're going to get a little bonus feature here. We're going to talk about these prospects that people tend to forget during a new release that you can go pick up. So, Aram, you are our resident expert, the guru, all things baseball. So this 25 draft product, you've got the lists, talk to us about what you're seeing out there, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and let's help our listeners find some value in these guys coming out of the box.
Probably need some value because the product's expensive, man. So
very.
That's a whole other conversation. But I think even more the reason to just target the players that you like. I think it was sad. I was thinking about it the other day. Like I remember in 2020 during COVID, I would pop into the local card shop. Of course the mask, distance, whatever. But I just pick up the box of 2020 Bowman Draft, like super jumbo for $500, and I would just do that like probably more than I should have. But I got to rip so much product. I can't buy a box. I'm not going to be able to. I'm just going to buy into breaks. So that's where I've been digging deeper into the value this year than maybe ever. But that said, I think this draft class is not quite as strong, at least at this point, than the 2024 class. I think it's even more reason to focus in on the players that you like. But again, that said, I think it's fun when the most expensive player in the product is actually a high floor guy. I know people want ceiling, and Holiday's not in the products. Holiday would have been the most difficult player because he would have been super expensive. And if he reaches his ceiling, he's a superstar, but he's probably as risky of a player as you have in the 2025 draft. So it is interesting that he's withheld from this one. But I mean, Eli Willits at the top, I was going to ask you guys, like, what's your line of demarcation for because the market's so weird when a product first comes out to just sell, because obviously Willits is the most expensive in the product right now and breaks. But Willits is a guy that I think his market's only going to build unless people just get bored, because he's the youngest player in the class and the youngest player drafted in a very long time at the top spot. The glove is elite, so he's going to stick it short. The bat to ball is fantastic. He's going to get stronger. He's very wiry. And like I said, he's a year younger than everybody else. So, and the Nationals organization is completely overhauled and is developing, I think, a lot better than ever and will continue to. So that's a player that generally you pull the top chase, you probably want to sell, but he's an interesting conundrum because he's the most expensive. But I would love to hold on an Eli Willits, and I usually don't say that about the top chase.
So here's kind of a thought in looking at this. We kind of try to educate our listeners, out of the product, you're going to see prices at peak. And right now, based on our research, Willits is averaging about $300 per case. That's what his his price per case of draft if you're buying into breaks. So he's averaging about $300, which means that's probably going to be the price of his base auto, and it'll probably push $400 on early sales. You're in Griffin McGonigal territory.
Yeah.
Out of the box. You know what I mean? And so, I have a buddy who is he's a scout, and I kind of asked him about Eli, and I said, is Eli, does he have the Connor Walker type hype? And he says, I think he's a few ticks below.
Yeah.
So you gotta be smart on this, and you gotta say, okay, Eli's the guy. Do I want the card out of product? Yeah, you're gonna pay for it. But you know what I mean? When you compare him, is he truly Connor at Connor's base auto prices right now?
No.
Then you have to go, okay, well, that's why if you hit him in a break, it might be smart to sell if you can get premium dollar on him. Does that make sense?
How far, if you were predicting right now, Aram, obviously you can't tell the future, but if you had a prediction right now, is he 3 years away, 4 years away, 5 years away from?
I would say 3.
Okay.
I think it depends on how aggressive they want to play it. I think the glove really helps. His father being a big leaguer, so he goes about his business like a guy that, has been around the clubhouse a little bit, and that definitely helps. I think Konnor Griffin doesn't have a father that played in the big leagues, but he has a father that's very involved in collegiate sports and gets how things work. And I think that's a big reason why Connor's been able to be pushed and has met every match. And I think McGonigal, it's the same thing. The makeup and the understanding of the game is a big part of it. That said, he just doesn't quite have the physical tools that these other guys had or have. But the thing is he just turned 18. So I don't want to cap him at all, because I mean, you think about from 17 to 18 years old, like so much can change. Then 18 to 19, so much can change. But I think because he's their crown jewel, I do think they're going to go a little bit slower, and make sure that he's in a good spot and in a spot where he can really tap into the power without compromising the hit, which is such a big strength of his. But yeah, I would say probably 3. And at that point, once you comped it to the other guys, Ham, that's all I needed to hear. Because it's probably going to be a good re-entry point for Willits.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So I think he seems like a player to me. And I remember when he got drafted, everybody's like, why did they take this kid number 1? Like this should not have been, he's not the number 1 best player currently in this draft. If he had been number 15 or 17 or 21 in the draft, he might have been one of these guys we're talking about, man, this is the steal. This is the guy we want to be targeting because he's going to be too cheap early on. Instead, he's getting the Konnor Griffin hype, and he's going to be 3 years away. The re-entry point is he is as high risk as, the chances of that card being higher in 1 year, I'm going to put it as less than 10%. And the only way that it's higher is that he came out and just balled out year 1. He would have to ball out the whole season and people go, wow, he's going to be there sooner than later. If that doesn't happen, you're going to have a re-entry point next fall, next winter, where you can go, you know what, I do like Willits. He had an okay season or maybe struggled, but the underlying numbers look good. That's where you buy a guy like that, in my opinion. Yeah. Again, if he was picked 21, I'd feel different. I'm a total on Willits. He scared me to death.
Yeah. Here's a thought too. I wanted to throw this in there. I had a conversation this morning with a good friend of ours, and he's a financial advisor, and he loves cards, and he does cards on the fringe. He's not as involved as we are. But he said, man, the thing I don't have is time. I don't have time, you know what I mean, to research, to follow the trends or whatever. So you have guys like that who have capital, and if Willits comes out of the box and somebody gems one as a PSA 10, they bought it for $300, they can gem it. They want to sell it for $600. You've got guys that'll pay, $600-700 for a gem out of the box for this guy. And if this person's willing to hold that card for 3 years until debut, you can turn around and make some money. And if he became the guy, of course, that's where it makes sense for people buying product out of the box and turning it quickly. But Gary, to your point, if you can't do that or don't do that, you better watch out, because prices will come back, and you better be aware, because you can get burned very quickly with this stuff.
So I know we're going to go, and Aram's got a lot to touch on here, so I don't want to waste too much time with this, but I do think you brought up a great point. There is a complete strategy about buying early and grading, right? The hardest part about doing that early is you don't know where that card's going to be in 3 weeks, right? Exactly. You don't know. You're complete. So you could buy a raw and get it as a PSA 10, and it might be exactly what the raws are doing. Does that make sense? I mean, you could have lost that much value in a period of time that you could be sitting there. You could have got a 10 and that made no money. So I think that the real value is let the comps start to establish themselves. Yeah. Let you start see the baseline, find the cleanest, best looking copies you can. Once the baseline's been set, trade quickly, when you know you have high confidence in a potential 10, get it and move on. There is a play there, and there is going to be an opportunity. And this is 100% a pro tip. If you live on eBay during the first 4 weeks of release, you will find guys that go on there that need cash. They got it on a break. They just want quick cash. They want to move the card, or they don't know they haven't done their research. And you may see a gold that just sold for $1,500, and somebody may put up for $500. It happens every single release. It happens daily that there's cards that go low like that. So I just feel like to kind of finish the thought, while this is going on and everybody's attention is on this new release, there's going to be other guys that are on auctions that are guys that we want to buy that we're going to talk about later they're going to go low. And that's an extreme buying opportunity on some of those players. So just a kind of food for thought moment there.
Well, Aram, I want to let you get back to it, but it's like it's anything with any market, right? Like you look at the stock market, you can't follow every single stock, and you know what I mean? It's impossible. No. You know what I mean? That's why they make funds. So you buy into snapshots of different kind of stocks and stuff because you can't keep up with all of it. You know what I mean? And so find your niche, focus on your niche, and then do that thing over and over again. But there's tons of opportunity here. So diving in, Willits was the top of the list here, Aram. So kind of take us down the list a little bit and talk about what you think about these guys that are coming out of the product as the top price predictions.
Yeah, so Willits seems to be like first and foremost there, and then the next is Jojo Parker, but there's a little bit of room there. Parker, the shortstop with the Jays. I think Parker it's another interesting give and take here because there's a little bit of give there potentially in the price, but another guy that really has to perform right out of the gate to be able to maintain probably that price point. The thing with Parker is I think his offensive skill set is probably going to translate a little bit more quickly in terms of like the high octane numbers. I think Willits is kind of a sum of his parts guy, at least out of the gate, with more to build on. Parker just rakes and it could be a really fun blend of hit and then growing power. That's where I think Parker's fun. But again, he's not cheap. So he's probably my second favorite bat. If all prices were equal, you could make a case that he might be the most exciting.
Is he fast?
He can run a little bit. I think the amateur guys are always hard to exactly figure out how fast they are because the stolen base numbers don't really help. The perfect game juices every single stat you see. Yeah. So these kids are on perfect game. I just saw a graphic the other day. The catchers are all running pop times better than JT Realmuto. It's ridiculous. So that's a whole different thing. But he's an above average runner that I think could get quicker. But he's just a really well-rounded player.
I'm just looking at him right now. He's interesting. 6'2", 200 pounds. You know what I mean? And it looks like, again, that's a couple inches shorter than me and just a few pounds. So I know body style. It's similar into my thing. I did not run well. So, you know what I mean? Like go back to Konnor or somebody like that. What's Konnor, 6'4", 2...
Yeah. That's what makes it so insane.
Yeah, it's just so you start to kind of see where these physical giftings are and what this kind of thing is. But you got a lefty hitter, 19 years old, 8th overall pick. What do you think about the Jays market? Do you think their market?
I feel like that. You guys would know better than me on that front, but I think they're not going anywhere anytime soon. I think their fan base is probably more rabid than ever. I can't imagine how many fans they had when I was out there for the World Series. It was the entire country, it felt like, behind them, and a lot of people that were saying, hey, I was never really that into baseball and I'm really enjoying it now. So I wonder, just on Canada alone, how much that could drive the Blue Jays market. I think he's probably still a little bit too expensive to be a hold based on everything that you guys just said about Eli Willits. Right. However, Parker does have the offensive skill set to kind of catch the minor leagues by storm a little bit more, probably out of the gate.
What about his brother? I know his brother got drafted in the 19th round. I did some research on these two guys a while back, and I kept coming back to his brother and being why was he so undervalued compared to his brother? Did he end up signing or did he go back to college? Do you know Jacob Parker, his brother?
Yeah, I think he went back to college.
He went back to Mississippi State. I think he did too. He was a freshman last year, and he had a good year. He's got a big bat. Like I don't know why he was not getting the same hype.
He's like 6'4", 220 or something like that. He's a monster.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
So I have problems with JoJo Parker. Because there was a prospect out of the Blue Jays organization that completely got torched on. We didn't get torched on. We got out of him super quick, but he fell off the charts, and that's Tucker Toman. Tucker Toman was a high school guy that got picked up by the Blue Jays. You know what I mean? He had that kind of middle infielder type thing, and he got paid over slot, and he was a guy we were kind of targeting early out of 22 draft. And dude, thank goodness we got in and out of him because his stuff has fallen completely off the charts. So I have a little trepidation about Blue Jays prospects because of my Tucker Toman trauma.
I will say
especially when they start high.
They're developing as well as ever, but more on the pitching front of late, to be honest, which is funny because it's been the thing that they've been the most atrocious at in the last decade, or at least half decade. But they've been doing a really good job of late. But yeah, I think Parker will be an interesting one to see if he can kind of leapfrog Arjun Namala potentially, just with Namala stalling out a little bit last year. It'll be interesting to monitor.
So let's carry on here. Who's next on our list?
Seth Hernandez. Welcome to the pitching market, right? Pirates arm that he's the highest upside pitcher in the class, and that's the point blank period side of it. And it's not just highest upside. Like, this guy could be a monster. He also could struggle and fizzle out like a higher percentage of prep right-handed flamethrowers do than really any other position in the draft, maybe other than catcher. And even the catcher thing has changed over the last couple years. Hernandez, though, is special. Like, just point blank. It's 6'4", 200 pounds, really athletic. He also mashed. Like, he could have been, I think, a legitimate prospect as a hitter if he really leaned into it. But there was one start that I remember being able to watch the entirety of with data and everything this past year in his senior year, where he just shoved against one of the powerhouses down here, Christopher Columbus. Threw 99 pitches. His fastball averaged 97 miles an hour. He struck out 11 over 7 1/3. The feel to pitch for him is really impressive for how big he is. The fastball can touch triple digits. And he's also in an organization here that you can say what you want about the Pirates. And I think you can say a lot of things. Their minor leagues are percolating here, and their pitching has been a strength, right? It's not just Skeens, it's not just Bubba. You can go all the way down to Hunter Barco and Thomas Harrington. They've done a really good job, and then they've even converted like a Johan Oviedo into a trade chip with the Red Sox. Like, they've done a really good job with arms, and I think Hernandez is in a spot where he doesn't even really need to be developed that much. So I'm excited about the fit, and I think this is a guy that if you're shooting for the stars, he's the guy to do it with. But again, still pretty expensive. Is probably the third most expensive card in the product. Or
that's what just off the cuff I'm going no to the no. And the reason why is because who's the youngest pitcher in the bigs right now? I just looked this up.
Youngest pitcher in the bigs right now.
This was at opening day last year is what I looked up. AJ Smith-Shawver with the Braves.
Oh yeah, before the TJ.
22 years old. Mm-hmm. So this kid Hernandez is 19. So like pitchers just don't debut early like prospects can. Churio, or we're talking about Konnor. Like, are they going to run him into the bigs? I mean, they're not, right? So, like, what kind of stat lines he going to have in the minor leagues over the next 3 years, a la Andrew Painter, a la, you know what I mean, Jarlin Susana, a la all these guys who have these big arms. They're 2 to 3 years away. So again, do you feel like there's going to be a better buy-in time on this guy? I'm sitting here go, yes.
Well, that's a phenomenal point given their track record with Bubba Chandler, who's a huge arm. I mean, he's from exactly, literally went to the high school where my kids are from right here, North Oconee High School. We live 2 minutes from that school.
I thought he was going to lose his mind in AAA last year, Bubba.
Yeah, but you talk about a guy that can mash. This guy can mash. I mean, in high school, he could hit, he could pitch. Very similar probably to Hernandez. Just a great athlete, great football player. He was signed by Clemson to play football, quarterback. Didn't go, went baseball route. So very similar to Seth Hernandez. I think the point here is I love the upside, but it's probably you're going to have a tremendous time frame of buying windows. I mean, on that front, like Bubba Chandler's prices, why he was a good buy, he was extremely cheap. Seth Hernandez is just like Eli Willits, that he's going to get a ton of buzz early, so he's going to have a lot of room to fall.
Well, I want to give you guys a little inside thought here. We have kind of gravitated towards buying the bigger cards of players. You know what I mean? Refractor, blue, gold, orange, red, whatever. But a guy like this, like if you have the ability and you like dabbling in this, which a lot of people do, and you want to go out and just buy the first chromes of these guys, and you can scoop them up at $1 a piece, and you can put them away for the next 4 years, then you might find a card that you paid $1 each for that's doing $20, $25 at debut. Like, there's a lot of guys in the Bowman space that do stuff like that. I don't have the kind of patience for that, or the nuance for that. But that to me is where you take guys like this and you go, if I can get just their base chrome rookies out of box and I'm willing to sit on them for a few years, and then you can do ridiculous upside. You just have to do it in volume for it to make sense.
Yeah. No, and to the point of what Gary was saying, it's going to take time for him they're going to take their time too with the way the pitching set up. And I mean, Bubba Chandler was legitimately, I think, getting frustrated in AAA last year that he wasn't getting called up, and just going into these starts being like, who cares? I like it, just because you saw him walk in on a different level when he got to the big leagues, because he is more than ready to be in the big leagues. So between the service time side of things and all that, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to wait, and there will be another opportunity for Seth, unless he literally has the Andrew Painter first year and then has no injury, because then we saw what happened with Painter, unfortunately, injury-wise.
For sure.
So there's a lot of reasons why you could probably wait for a better point of entry.
All right, so marching on.
I think the comparison now to the next guy is where it becomes interesting. Kade Anderson is not going to be in the minor leagues very long. And so that's where I'm curious where you guys stack up there with Kade. Perfect organization for him, right? The Mariners, I don't need to sell you on the way they get their pitchers going. You also have a guy that does not, like, do not touch it. Like, you don't need to change anything. Maybe some slight pitch shape tweaks, whatever it may be, pitch usage here and there. Pounds the strike zone with 4 quality pitches. The track record's there. The Mariners were just in awe that he fell into their lap. And I feel like if you are going to pick up a pitcher, he's slightly cheaper than Seth. Yes, the ceiling's a little bit lower, but I'm not really going to put ceilings on especially left-handed pitchers, because guys just seem to outperform their stuff all the time, and he still has good stuff, and he still has room for more velo. I wouldn't rule that out. Anderson's an interesting one, because also the Mariners do have a world, like, yes, the rotation's filled right now. It won't be in a year. So I could see a world where Kade Anderson's in that rotation in 2027.
Well, how do you compare his arm to Hernandez?
I think a little bit less live stuff-wise, but the thing is he already pounds a zone with 4 pitches, and I still think that it's a pretty live arm. You know, I think he's going to gain a little bit more velo. He averaged about 93 and change this past year, but with good characteristics. So the fastball has that late life on it, and then the slider, changeup, curveball all had a strike rate north of 66%. And so if you're throwing everything in the zone more than 2/3 of the time, and the fastball characteristics are strong, he doesn't even really need to see the velocity jump. But if he does, I think he could be a monster. And I watched him in the College World Series in Omaha. I stationed myself right behind home plate. There's some built-in deception there too. The guy can just flat out pitch. It just depends, right? Like, if he's a number 3 starter, I don't know how the market reacts to that. But if he gets to the big leagues in 2027 and fills a rotation spot for a team that has World Series aspirations, I imagine people are going to be excited about it.
So Kade
One thing
Anderson,
that's interesting with him too is he's already had Tommy John,
and that's usually a good thing, honestly, at this point.
Yeah.
so the Kade Anderson to me has the Paul Skeens factor, the Trey Savage factor, you know what I mean? Cam Schlittler factor, right? He's got that opportunity. I think he could push the bigs very, very quickly, as you said, and I have some inside information that is something that is moving around there, and that he's a guy where he comes out of the box and debuts and has a good first outing. Now all of a sudden, price point just blossoms, even though he's a little bit high. So if I'm buying a pitcher, to anyone who would care to listen, if I'm buying a pitcher, I'm going to invest in a pitcher who has a quick debut opportunity rather than a pitcher who is 19 down the line.
And here's a really interesting wrinkle in that. It makes 100% sense why they would want to fast track a guy like him. Not only do they not have a left-handed starter in the rotation, I don't think they have a left-handed starter on the 40-man unless you count Jonathan Diaz, who's in AAA, as a starter. And he was kind of more of like a swingman type of guy for you. That would be like their only left-handed starter, like, immediately. And if Bryce Miller struggles or a creative trade is available for them and he's really throwing well, I could see him up, like you mentioned, at the end of the year with the Trey Savage kind of factor.
Yep.
Here, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here for Anderson, and we can move on to the next player. Looking at his college stats, this is the comparison. Skeens last year had a 1.69 ERA. Anderson had a 3.18. The year prior to that, Anderson had a 3.99. This is just me. They deserve a lot of respect. It's a good league, right? But it's not the major leagues. And the fact that he's got almost a 3.2 ERA in the SEC makes me go, is this guy really major league ready? I mean, we saw Hurston Waldrop come up, the second year with the Braves, and it's like, hey, welcome to the big, son. I mean, he got lit up. Now, last year, he got his taste, and he came back last year and he pitched great. But I think it takes these guys. SEC's great, but it's not the major leagues.
For sure. I think there's also a little bit of, like, they just had the ABCA conference, like, for all the college coaches, and, like, the whole huge topic was just like, how do we slow down the offense right now? And also, Skeens might just be one of one. But to your point, I mean, if there's a little bit of, like, the one concern I have with Kade is the long ball. Like, that could be something that catches up with him in the Texas League a little bit. But, I think this is a guy that you're kind of hoping just fast tracks, has that first good big league start, and then you start to get out from there, where at least he can justify his, price point per case right now, or price point for a card. But I agree. Like, in terms of ceiling, there's probably some other players that I think multiple years from now have a higher ceiling.
Well,
So-
and he's priced almost as high as anybody on the board, right? Am I wrong in saying that, or is he about as high as anybody?
No, he's
out there?
I'd say about 4th or 5th, depending on where you look.
Yeah, he's kind of right behind Hernandez right now, at least where it's averaging out. But he's definitely the guy, the pitcher that it seems like most guys, Hernandez, him, and then Doyle. Those are the three pitchers that the guys are chasing out of the product. But again, for pitchers to be priced with batters is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
And that's thanks to Paul Skeens, you know what I mean, really driving that pitcher market, and then seeing like Cam Schlittler and Trey Savage followed up last year. So again, Aram, I want to keep kind of moving down this list here, and I know there's a ton of deep dives or whatever. Is there anybody else that's kind of in this top 10? Right? I mean, because we could go through every guide and provide, but it's just want to be efficient.
Well, so there's one in the top 10 that I know Gary's going to love because he's fast as hell. He might be like an 80 grade runner, and he's really expensive. I've seen some areas where he's like the 3rd or 4th highest priced chase right now, and it's Steele Hall with the Reds. There's a ton to love with Steele Hall because he's, again, absolutely flies, fastest guy in the class. I think has room to grow into more impact. He's going to be a good defender at shortstop, but the swing is really raw. Like, he looks like an athlete up there that's just trying to put bat on ball. Like, doesn't use his
he's like Nate George. He's like Nate George.
It's a little bit like that. He also reminds me a bit of Lindsey, who the Dodgers took last year. And Kellen Lindsey, like, he got hurt, so I think that didn't help either. But he's got all the potential in the world and all the upside. But at that price point, like, I think I want a swing that I trust will translate immediately instead of a guy that probably will need to make some adjustments. But the thing is if he does, it's like a Trey Turner skill set. So that's the part where clearly the hobby's always betting upside, and I get it. But if he's right now the 3rd highest priced bat, I don't have the stomach for it.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing on that is, like, I think about Chandler Simpson, right? Chandler Simpson, ridiculously fast. You know what I mean? And gets on base. But, like, does this guy Steele Hall, does he have any power? I know Chip Simpson has none. But
definitely more, but
okay.
Not if he doesn't change his swing. Like, right now, his swing is just so armsy, like, put bat on ball, get running. And he has room for more. I know, like, some out there, like, project more. And he already flashed a little bit more, on the summer circuit. Like, he was already able to leave the yard a couple times, and that's something that, I think Chandler didn't even really do in college. I think his only home run in college actually popped out of the outfielder's glove. I don't know. It could all come together and he could be a monster, but the Reds also drafted a guy like this similarly, and not quite as toolsy and not as much upside, but like Sam Stafora, who they ended up trading, for Ke'Bryan Hayes because the bat wasn't coming along. So I don't have a ton of trust in their hitting development, but a player as talented as Steele Hall could just figure it out on his own. And in terms of somebody that could just break out and be this monster, I get why the hobby prices him as that. I don't have the stomach for it.
So real quick comparison, because this was their draft pick from last year, I believe. Tyson Lewis or Steele Hall. Who are you taking?
That's a good one, because Lewis might have some of the best raw power of a teenage prospect in minor league baseball, but he also had a chase rate of 40% and swung and missed more than you want to see. I'd go Lewis just because of how ridiculous the power is. Like, his exit velocities are some of the best I've seen from a prep or just from a teenage bat in a long time. And you just hope he could cut down the whiff and chase a little bit. But man, that's a tough one because they're both so enticing, but so risky.
So these guys with speed is kind of interesting. It's like an Enrique Bradfield, Chandler Simpson, like elite level speed, you know what I mean? But then you have like your Connors of the world. Like, there's a difference between somebody who's fast and somebody who is like well-rounded fast. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what you have to kind of concentrate on when you start going after these guys is they have to have that 5-tool set. You know what I mean? And with a guy like Steele, it sounds like there's still a little bit out there. So I've gone through this list and we're like 5 down or whatever, and I don't have anybody that excites me, quite frankly. So Aram, talk to me about somebody that might excite me right now. Yeah. I'm trying to find something exciting in this class.
I think Dax Kilby with the Yankees. Talk about, you never want to overreact to pro debuts because they're usually, and just some people I've talked to with teams and whatever, they're always like, yeah, pro debuts don't really matter much. These kids are either tired from their season or, just getting thrown into an environment they've never been in, a lot more pressure, blah, blah, blah. But when the pro debuts are really impressive, you got to take something away from that. And the 18-game sample that we got from an 18-year-old Dax Kilby going straight to low A was really impressive, where he hit 350 with a 900 OPS. I watched every at-bat. So patient. Bat to ball is there. He's 6'2", 190. There's burgeoning power as well. And I think this could be a guy that's just, above average tools across the board if it all comes together. He may slide over to third, so that is one wrinkle, but he's got plenty of time to prove that he could stick it short. But when you've got a bat in the Yankee system, so you saw the Lombard effect, and I think he has very similar strengths there, where he's just going to be too advanced for low A. The Yankees are going to quickly push him. He might meet his match in double A or high A or whatever, and that's going to be something that you guys would know more about how the market reacts to that than I do. But he's not nearly as expensive from what I've seen. I think he's outside of the top 10 most expensive players in this class. And I think given the Yankees effect, given how impressive the nearly 20-game pro debut was, and just given the skill set there, it's a little bit reminiscent of what we saw from Lombard. And I think there's a lot of reasons to believe that Kilby's going to have a really good year this year and boost his stock.
So basically, we're telling our listeners, go buy Willits and Jojo Parker. Don't buy Dax Kilby. That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying, right? So, okay, moving on, man. What are some other folks in this class here that are exciting? And then we'll dive into this little
huge range of outcomes here. But I love Xavier Nyans from the Astros. He's just below Kilby in pricing. You have to be prepared that his market could crater because he strikes out 35% of the time, right away. But also there's a world where he is one of the more exciting power bats in the lower minors, immediately.
And, is he like a Laz Montez?
Xavier Isaac, crazy whippy bat speed, really projectable, a lot more room for strength, explosive. And he was playing in rural Washington. So I think when he got in the summer circuit, there was a little bit more whiff than teams wanted to see, which is why he slipped a little bit further towards the back end of the first. But if it all comes together for this guy who's pretty much clearly, without a doubt, the highest upside prospect in the Astros system, that is, for those who like to swing for the fences, Nyans is definitely a good guy to swing for the fences with.
So I like that. So three prospects that jump out to me. We all know Gary has his Spencer Jones little bobblehead doll that he sleeps beside his bed every night.
Mm-hmm.
But I have always been a fan of the Laz Montez, the Samuel Basallo, the Xavier Isaac profile. These guys that have the big bat. And it's not like, I remember, what's his name? He played for the Diamondbacks. Melendez, right? Ivan Melendez. Yeah, I mean, he was a guy who had a big bat out of college, but just, it didn't connect like these other guys. So you like Laz Basallo and Xavier Isaac. To me, they're in kind of a different category there. Yeah. So are you saying that Nyans is kind of in that realm with those guys?
Yes, I think so. And there's a world where because those guys are 1 degree of separation away from just striking out too much to make it work. So you have to be prepared for that. But you have to also know that Nyans is going to be Astros very forward thinking. He's going to be their priority. They need Nyans to hit, especially after just trading whatever they had left in their farm system. They need Nyans to be a guy for them. And I think they're confident that they can get him to a point where he can hit enough. I have 70 future on the power there. And so I think with that, he has a pretty wide margin for error. He could be a 35 hit tool guy through the first year or two, and maybe be working up towards a 40 hit tool. And with that power, I think it could be Laz Montez-ish if it all works out with a little bit more defensive utility.
Interesting. So is there anybody in this class, because we got to move on here. We want to talk about some prospect stuff. Is there anybody else in this box, Aram, that, from the standpoint, I mean, there's how many, there's 25 players, 30 players. We can't go through everybody.
Yeah.
You highlighted Dax, you highlighted Nyans. We talked about the top, tier guys coming out of the product. Is there anybody else that you want to throw some, love to?
Yeah, just sticking on the trend of just, swinging for the fences. Brendan Compton in the Marlins spot, because I think that's a really cheap spot for people that want to just get into a break, but, don't have all the extra money that's required right now to get into some of these other team spots. Plenty of risk, no doubt about it. But again, the risk is lower when he's, maybe the 28th or 29th most expensive player in the product. The Marlins have done a really good job, I think, with these types of players since the new regime has taken over. And Compton, I mean, he was, even in his very brief pro debut, was popping 114, 115 mile per hour EVs. I think with metal, he was up to 117. I know the Marlins love him, absolutely love him. And so that's a guy that, if you're looking for a little bit of a cheaper entry point, He could be fun. Nick Becker with the Mariners is another guy, switch hitter. Or no, sorry, I'm confusing with JD Dix. But Nick Becker is another player that I have circled. Is just somebody that I think higher floor, underrated in the product. I thought looks pretty impressive in the brief pro debut. A lot of projection there at like 6'3", 190. That I think is a fun player to add as well. And then a couple other just quick hitters. He's not cheap, but Gavin Kylan with the San Francisco Giants, I just think is a really solid player. So, if you wanted to target him, that would make sense. And then Ike Irish, the Baltimore Orioles. In that Shane Baz trade, they traded a lot of guys that they drafted last year. They were not going to trade Ike Irish for a reason. It's a blend of hit and power that I think is going to make him productive right away. We're going to see what the defensive side of things is. Is he going to catch a little bit? Is he going to play corner outfield? We'll find out. But I really like him as well. And then Charles Davalon, I think, is just going to have a lot of hype this year. Like, just brace for it. Dodgers prospect. Really impressive pro debut. So hitterish. Not a lot of power projection, which I think is why he's cheap. But if you have a Dodgers prospect who's just mashing and walking and flying through the minors, I imagine that his price is going to go up a little bit. So that's probably a guy that makes some sense and I think is probably worth chasing. And then, I think those are the kind of front runner guys that I really like. And then one other that I just have concerned about the price, Gavin Feen with the Rangers. I'd tread lightly there. I think he's the 5th most expensive. I've seen some crazy takes on him being like the best bat in the prep class, all these different things. I think the swing needs a lot of work. I had him kind of further back towards the top 10 of the Rangers prospect list for us. And in this class, I don't think he's in the same conversation as the Willits, the Parkers, and some of the others, Dax Kilby. And he's trading at, about 30% more than Kilby.
Yeah. Well, Aram, thank you always, man. I mean, you bring so much knowledge to this. And like I said, we could spend literally probably 4 episodes and go through this. And you're an endless source. You are a well of wisdom as it comes to all this. So I know that we're appreciative and our listeners are appreciative. And we're going to transition now into some of these prospects who might get overlooked during a new, box release. But before we do that, I just want to thank our listeners for tuning in to Sports Card CEO. Guys, we've built a little community here. You guys are a part of it. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for all the questions, the feedback. Please keep that coming. Be sure to go on to wherever you listen to these. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube, leave some comments, give us a thumbs up, leave a review. It really helps other people to find the show. And we're always going to be, kind of increasing our scope here of bringing you guys some of the best content in the sports card hobby out there. And we appreciate you guys listening. So, Bubba, I know that Bubba is always like loving an opportunity. Bubba is never short on opportunities. And Bubba is charged up coming out of the new year, and he's looking for some snipage here from the deer stand and looking for some prospects that you can snipe while everybody else is focusing on draft. So let's kind of throw some names out here to Aram and let's chat about some opportunities.
Yeah, so we're going rapid fire here. We're going to make this fun. We had a ton of feedback on the previous episode we had last week. I mean, I probably had 15 people reach out and say, I loved last week's format. I loved where y'all did that either they're higher or they're lower. And what is the feeling of the group on this? So we're going to do the same thing right here. And that way we all get to kind of have some feedback. We're going to go pretty quick. We got about 20 something names here. So you're going to get a lot of this. I mean, this is like the meat and potatoes of the guys I'm living on right now. Okay. I like the names we just said over there were kind of like blah to me. I didn't even care. I'm like, I might buy a couple and grade a couple, but I was like, that doesn't even excite me right now. I'm on these guys still because I kind of know what I've got a little more. So, but that can change. Things can change, right? A guy gets hot in single A and then me and Aram are both jonesing on the same guy, or I find a new Spencer Jones and things change. So anyway, we're starting off at the top. My guy I'm buying a yacht with, we talked about it last week, higher or lower, Konnor Griffin. And thoughts?
How much? So can you guys give me some context of like his price point versus like an established, really good young big leaguer? Like where does Konnor Griffin compare to even like a Bobby Witt? I guess I know that's not fair, but it just at least calibrates me a little bit here.
Yeah. So are we talking about a year, Bubba?
What's up?
A year, Bubba? We're talking about 1 year?
I mean, I don't think we want to go a year. I think we need to go like all-star break this year with these guys. Let's go shorter period of time.
Yeah. So and to reiterate, in case our listeners didn't hear, right now Konnor Griffin is about 1/2 of Bobby Witt. So do we have upside on Konnor Griffin? Konnor Griffin's trading about $1,000 right now, $1,100, something like that, on a base auto PSA 10. Bobby Witt's around $2K. I think Connor's higher.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best. And I'm not like Jim Callis here. And like when Jim Callis says this, it means a little bit more. But I've feel like I've seen a lot of minor league games now over the last like 7 years and gone to a lot of backfields.
6, 7.
What are we doing, Aram? Don't do
I thought I
that.
could get away with it on this podcast. Usually
We have young children, man. Forgive us. It's all day, every day.
I say 6 or 8 now, or like 6 or 1 more. But I had just that visual, like I have you guys side by side next to me doing it at the same time.
We've ruined you.
He's got to be one of the most talented players, if not the most I've seen. And also just trying to compare him now to major leaguers that you see in person. You know, when you go to a ball game, you haven't seen Mike Trout play yet. You obviously in his prime, right? Or you haven't seen Bobby Witt. You've seen him on TV. But then you take your son to the game and you go and you say, holy crap. Like this is different to see in person, right? Griffin matches up with all those guys physically. You talk about the size and how fast he is, bat to ball wise. I just never expected him to be this good. And I think that's a testament to the work ethic and how open he is to fixing whatever challenges he has. So even if he gets up to the big leagues early and has a bad month or two, if you weather the storm, because he's human as much as it doesn't seem like it is, he is sometimes, he's going to settle in. And that's the thing. And that's why I feel like if you go by All-Star break, I still think he'll settle in by then. Maybe there's a little bit of a adjustment period, but I think by the end of the season, Konnor Griffin's going to be higher.
All
it
right.
also helps that the
Higher.
Pirates are semi-contenders now, right? Where like they could be in the hunt for a wild card spot. The Marlins, freaking, they weren't eliminated until game 161. I think this Pirates team's better this year. So if they're competing for a wild card and Konnor Griffin's hitting his stride, I think higher.
I think this is the kid 2.0. I think this is Mike Trout playing shortstop. I saw it when I was at the Futures game. It just kept thinking, man, this guy is Mike Trout at shortstop. I mean, that's just what I kept thinking. I think you're going to see a guy. I'm not going to say he's going to come out and win an MVP year one. I don't think so. But this is a guy, no doubt about it, at the end of his season is going to be that Julio Rodriguez type hype and beyond. No doubt about it. I'm higher. And just interviewing Konnor, and if Konnor hears this, he's got no fear. You can tell. It's just a silent, humble confidence. Same thing with Mike Trout. You talked about those guys he reminds me of just a guy he's got the confidence and he doesn't even have to say it. You just see it. So
it's the Witt cloth too. Bobby Witt. It's a very similar thing. I think where you see that silent confidence and just dynamic skill set. And the fact that if for whatever reason doesn't work at short, he could go play in a plus center as well. I think he's going to be great at short. It's not a problem, but no matter what, he's going to be just a really dynamic player. So I love it. I wish. It's probably hard to find some inventory now, right? So that's when I'll connect with you guys about the fund.
Yeah, contact the Bowman Farmer.
We can help you.
Inquiries.
We can help you
on Instagram. I have a couple.
We can help you. Do you think he
all right,
comes
moving
out?
along. I know we got to go a little quicker here to get all these names in. So go ahead.
Do you think
last one? Do I think he breaks camp? I think he's got a strong shot. I think if he performs in spring training, I think he's got a good chance to break camp.
All right,
guys,
Bubba,
I could do this all day.
I
could do this all day, but my kids are going to be eating dinner with me here soon, so we got to go a little quicker today. We're going to roll it now. I could talk about Konnor Griffin till the cows come home, boys. The Bowman Farmer could. So we're going to roll here.
Let's go.
Kevin McGonigal, higher or lower All-Star break?
I go higher because I think he gets called up, and I think the skill set translates so well, and I think people are going to really start to realize that he's got more power than they think.
Who's the comp? Who's the major league comp?
I don't know because it's darn near. It's a 70 hit tool with 55 power and elite plate discipline. I don't know if I have.
Is he better than Gunnar?
I think it's similar.
Okay.
I think it's similar.
Okay.
Saucy. Let's go.
I'm going higher by All-Star break. I'm going higher at All-Star break for sure. I think he's undervalued right now still, and that's hard to believe. All right, moving along. Leo DeVries.
I think higher. I think people are going to really start to buy into what's going on out there in no city designation athletics and Vegas as well. But I also very hitter-friendly environments for him to perform in the next 2 years. And I think that's going to juice the numbers up a little bit as well. And I like DeVries. I go higher. I don't know what the market's quite at right now, but I would imagine higher based on what, the public perception is.
Flat.
Lower, just because I think he's going to get forgotten.
Real quick.
He's still pretty expensive.
What's very expensive? Then I'll go.
I haven't checked in the last month or so, but I mean, he did start to have a little bit of a fade of interest, and you can see that when someone's starting to kind of get that little steady decline. That's where he's at. A lot of people are holding him, but I'm going to buy Leo again. There will be another buying window for Leo.
Okay.
But I'm going lower while the attention's on McGonigal, Griffin, and Shohei and Judge and everybody else, and Witt. I mean, in my opinion.
Little Matt just texted me that his base PSA 10's trading around $450 right now.
So yeah,
I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go higher.
Okay.
I think it goes with some more pop.
JJ Weatherholt.
I think lower because he's so good. He's such a sound player, but I think he's going to get to the big leagues and people are going to say, well, 275 with good OBP and 15 to 20 homers. I invested in more upside than that. And I think people might on a rebuilding team for the Cardinals. I think he's a great player. He's going to have a great career and may blossom into more. But I think he's valuable because of how high the floor is, not the ceiling.
Yeah, I would say he's going to be higher only because of the debut potential. But I think the timing on Weatherholt is very tight. I think it's very tight, very strategic. I think McGonigal and Konnor have, horsepower in the engine. I think Weatherholt has just a little bit of hype in the tank, and then I want out.
I'm going higher on JJ, and I think McGonigal has pictures of Aram, and he hates on JJ. That's what I'm calling it. I think JJ's got 30 home run power. I think we're shortening his power a little bit. Watching, just how many. I mean, McGonigal too. I think both of them have 30 home run potential, which is why I like both of them a lot. 30 home run potential at shortstop. That plays, boys. If you're batting 275 or higher, the Cardinals need somebody. They haven't had anybody. And then, Arenado days, they need somebody. I love it. I love Weatherholt.
I'm going third, though, for them. Does that change anything if he's playing third versus
No,
short?
Arenado 2.0, baby.
Okay. Yeah, I think the power is going to be the big wrinkle there. And he's got some pop, but if it's 18 to 20 versus 25 to 30, I'm just curious how the hobby responds.
Big time difference there. If the power is there, Weatherholt goes nuclear. If he stays at 18 to 20, he's not gonna, I'll say lower if it's 18 to 20. If he hits 30, he's gonna get the love. All right, moving on. Walcott. Sebastian Walcott.
I go lower. I hope I'm wrong. Wide range of outcomes here. He could also have the best season in the minor leagues if he puts it all together, but he's got to find a way to hit the ball in the air more consistently. I think his swing mechanics are a little bit off. It's a flat swing, and I think that the shortstop thing may come to an end. He might slide over to third. So I'm going to go lower.
I'm thinking lower just because he was hyped up so much, but at the same time, the last comp on his PSA 10 base auto was like $250, and so that seems pretty cheap already. So again, it's flat to lower to me.
Ham's on a heater today. Ham's bringing some good insight here, and I love it, Ham, because you're teeing me up. Walcott is one of those I'm going to say higher on the lower levels because he's too cheap. Like he is, when you're seeing 499s where they're at right now, I'm buying the 499s of Walcott because they're too cheap, just like Walker Jenkins. The lower end, the higher end of Walcott, I'm going to say significantly lower. It doesn't make his oranges versus 499s and all that. There's too much of a disparity.
People are trying to retire off the wall because I get it. His ceiling is so exorbitantly high.
Yeah, his last two gold sales were 5,800 and 5,000 on a PSA 10. So his golds are like to your point. If a PSA 10 Konnor Griffin, at base is doing $1,000, Walcott's doing $250. A Konnor PSA 10 gold is around $10K. Sebastian Walcott's around $5K. So there's half the value there versus a quarter of the value on the bases. So Gary, great point, is finding the margins within the different parallel colors of the base auto to the colored autos of where you can find an upside win.
Yep. Cole Emerson, this guy's getting hyped like crazy the last month. I don't know who's doing it. Somebody's done a really good job of hyping him. It's Aram, and people are buying in.
Aram said me.
I think maybe me. I usually underestimate our impact on the card market, but we've done a really good job of basically any Colt Emerson clip from the podcast going viral. It also helps that we have a Mariners podcast on our network that will co-post that Colt Emerson clip with, where I'm just talking about why I think he's a top 5 prospect in the game. So that might be me. I love him. There's no inventory out there. I've tried.
I've got it.
He is. I put out a piece. And this also probably this is one of the most read pieces I think I worked on this past year. He changed from a leg kick to a toe tap on June 13th or something like that. And then I pulled the numbers from June 14th onward. And he was one of the best hitters in the minor leagues, had an OPS over 900, climbing from AA and AAA. The big change was that he was able to use his base a lot more, stay back, and all of a sudden he cut his ground ball rate by 15%. He's destroying baseballs, and he looks like a guy that can now be their answer at third base. And looks like that they're not going to go free agency route for their answer there. And then eventually takes over at shortstop potentially when JP Crawford leaves. I love the makeup, the blend of hit and power, and then the team. I think he is a great buy, but I didn't realize how much the market is ticked up. So depending on how much it's ticked up, I still think he's higher.
So refractor PSA 10 right now, last sale was $525 as a best offer, buy it now. Before that, it was $410 best offer, buy it now. Hasn't had an auction sale of that refractor since October, and it did $420.
So everyone's just sitting on it, huh?
Yeah. So here's the thing with Colt Emerson is I think it's up, but he's a guy like Weatherholt. I think there's a window right there, right? So if the hype builds into a guy like this coming out of spring training, a lot of hype, there's prices to run. But then again, the stability in the bigs is the question mark after that first year. So I say up, but again, my exit strategy is quick.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the hype right now. Little Matt, add him to our list. Add Colt. You're sitting back there. Add Colt Emerson to the list because Aram just sold me on it even more. I already saw the hype building. Aram just built extreme hype again. Put Colt Emerson on our list. I'm higher. All right, Walker Jenkins. Walker Jenkins.
What's he priced at?
Same thing. Like I'm going to call him like Sebastian Walcott 2.0 in a way. His prices on the low end are low. His prices on the higher end are high.
I think slightly up then. It's just a matter of health for him, and that's the part that I just don't know. But he's going to get an opportunity at the big league level this year.
Is he called up by the All-Star game? Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So I say slightly higher. Yeah.
Listen, Walker just got married this past weekend, okay? I'm pretty sure, or the weekend before that. So my man's got to put bread on the table. He's now got a wifey to provide for. He doesn't have an opportunity. He's got to get going. So Walker Jenkins is up. And I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this right now, boys. If we just bought a Walker Jenkins orange for what a Sebastian Walcott gold is selling for, give me Walker Jenkins all day. Give me Walker Jenkins all day, and let's go.
Beep, beep. He's going up. He's going up. I think people they've been sleeping on Walker Jenkins for the last 18 months. They want, he's injury prone. Well, when the dude balls out, he's going to go higher. I'm saying higher, especially when he gets the call. So higher there. This next one is a whole team of players. Okay, so I'm listing 5 players, and we're going to hit on them real quick. I'm going to go one at a time. They're all Dodgers prospects. Okay, there's a whole bunch of them. We're going to start real quick. DePaula, higher or lower? All-Star game.
I'm going to go. I think the hobby's cooled on him a little bit, so I'll go slightly higher.
I'm going to say lower. I think he's falling off.
I'm going to say flat. I'm going to say he's flat because I think he's you like Laz Montez. I think Laz Montez with speed, in my opinion. He's got more speed than people want to give him credit for. I mean, the dude silently steals, 20, 30 bags? I mean, he gets no credit for that. So, and he's a Dodger. I like him like a little Yordan Alvarez with a little speed. I like him. So, I'm going to go slightly up. Zahir Hope.
I think it was up and down here. I'm going to go slightly up because I think he cuts the whiff down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm cheering for this one. Obviously, I want to see it. So I'm going to say yes, Zahir. I believe in you. Go do amazing things.
I'm going to say this right now. I believe in this is my new Spencer Jones. I believe in Zahir Hope more than I believe that his current values. He is the most underappreciated player in all of minor league baseball right now for what his ability is in that organization. The power, the speed, the flair. He's got it all. He's got Junior Caminero flair. He's got the power. He's got the speed. I watched him play at the Futures game. People are sleeping on Zahir Hope. They really, really are. That guy's going to make us a lot of money one day. Little Matt, make sure he's on the list. Eduardo Quintero.
I'm going to go higher as well. I think the Dodgers they got guys, man. I think DePaula is probably more neutral now, and I think Quintero goes higher because I think he's going to stick in center. He's going to get his bags. He's improved the slug. I go higher.
I'm going to say lower. I think it's so hard to sustain the kind of hype that he's had.
Has he had that much hype?
Yeah, Quintero was a big chase. I mean,
then I'll say same. I'll say neutral.
Yeah, I think he's flat. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'll go flat.
Yeah,
I think he's higher. I think that if he does what he did last year again, which he's done it at every level, he's actually extremely cheap still compared to a lot of other players. And if he truly does break into that top 20 range, which I think he will, I think he's too cheap. I think he's way too cheap, honestly. And I mean, I don't have much room more to buy more of him because I own almost all of his cards. But if I could, I would, because I think he's going to be a superstar in the major leagues. I really do. When you look at his underlying stats, Aram, that dude's just getting it done, and he came out of nowhere. So I like him a lot. Moving on, Mike Sirota.
Handled high A great too. Handled high A, 32 games, didn't miss a beat there either. So, yeah, I'll say slightly higher.
Yeah,
well, for
Quintero.
reference, Quintero's refractor PSA 10 last comp's 475. We said that, what was it? Colt Emerson was 525, and then Walker Jenkins was like 600. So that's kind of give you take an Emerson, take a Quintero, take a Jenkins, similar price points. Which ones do you think? Where's your buy?
Emerson.
Yeah.
Quintero. I think Quintero is an all-star game starter in 3 years. Center field, the Dodgers.
Ooh,
all right,
let's go.
Moving on. Sirota. Mike Sirota.
Dude, they got so many guys.
I know, dude. They're loaded.
Assuming he comes back from the injury, he might have, aside from Zaire Hope, he might have the highest upside of those guys that you listed. Like Sirota, his exit velocities are comical. I feel like I don't know what the public hype is, but like privately, you talk to scouts of other teams or whatever. Like this is the guy that gets the most rave reviews from just the 59 games he played before injury. Sirota, I think comfortably, he may have the biggest price leap depending on where he's starting now. The biggest price leap of any of the guys that you mentioned.
Yeah, his refractor, the last sale on his refractor PSA 10 was like $300. So he's
by far the biggest leap of this group. Speed, power, approach, everything.
5 asterisks, little Matt. 5 asterisks. Get him on the list. Start buying them today, baby. I've got some Mike Sirota. I don't have enough. I've kind of been sleeping on him, but Aram, you're pushing me over the top. I love that he's a Dodger. He's got speed too. Again, I love guys that have speed and power. He's got both.
He can stick in center.
Hard hit rate of
54%.
What was that?
Hard hit rate of 54%.
Wow, yeah. Buy more, Matt. We need more. We need more. A lot more. All right, moving on. Last guy of the Dodgers here to mention, Emil Morales. People hoard this guy like crazy. I've been trying to get a hold of him. People hoarding him like crazy. Thoughts on Emil Morales?
He proved me a little bit wrong last year. I've been lower on him in general. I still think he goes down for what you just said. Like, I think the expectations are very high on the guy that still hasn't played. He barely played above the complex last year. And I know he's young, but like, there's still a lot of things that he needs to prove bat to ball wise. I think there's some underlying lift there. I go lower.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there looking at his PSA 10 base autos like 175 to 200. Like, I think he's going to float right there until he does something spectacular. And in that organization, he's going to have to do a lot. So I'm not a fan.
I'm going flat. I mean, I think he's a guy who's got a long time window ahead of him, especially with all those other guys ahead of him. But I do like him long term. All right, moving along. Luis Pena.
Higher. I think people cooled on him after he, cooled off a little bit in the longest season he's ever played in his life by a mile, and also battled some injuries. The Brewers don't see him as that far off from Jesus Mate. And I know Mate sprinted through the finish line a little bit more, but these are both kids that were way too young for the levels they were playing. I don't care that he hit a $168 and as an 18-year-old. I just don't. And the fact that he's even there, I think, is really valuable experience for him. I think higher. He's going to grab 50 plus bags next year. He's going to, the thing is, can he elevate more? And if he can, he's going to hit 20 homers too, especially if he can get to Double-A Biloxi where there's a jet stream out to left.
Yeah, so you got a 499 of his in that 435 range. I definitely see upside there. You know what I mean? People kind of know what they're dealing with, so his price point reflects that.
Yeah, slightly higher.
Yeah, so slightly higher as well. I just think he's young. He's got a ton of time. He's got that kind of swag. He's got that international flair. He's got that, So yes, I like a guy like this from a hobby perspective.
All right, so I'm gonna go super rapid fire now from here because we're way over on time. This has been a phenomenal episode. I love this part. I could do this all day. I love this. But I'm going to do 2 players at a time. Okay. Franklin Arias, George Lombard.
I'm going to go lower.
I say I would feel flat on those guys right now. A lot to prove.
I just have a question for Aram because I don't have an opinion on either really on their markets. I think Lombard, which one is the better player long term?
Lombard. I like Arias, but he's very hit tool driven, and I don't think there's a ton off of that. Lombard, I think I'm less confident in the lower there because like he's physical. He can start to grow into more power. I just think he's a little bit more of a project than the Yankees accounted for, and they pushed him a little too quick. But I think Lombard is going to grow into a really, really good player. So for just this year, I think lower. If you told me 3 years, I think higher.
Okay. Next 2, Aiden Miller, Bryce Rayner.
Higher. I love them both. There's whiff risk with Rayner. Aiden Miller could be the big leagues, especially if they sign Bichette. I think they're going to move potentially Bohm and Stott. They're going to need another right-handed bat potentially to play third. I think Aiden Miller, another guy wrote a piece, huge finish to the year, blend of hit power and speed and good approach. I'm in on him. And then Rayner's he got hurt. He was on the cusp of, I think, really solidifying himself as a top 50 prospect in the game.
I like both of those guys higher.
My question is, I like both of them too. Rayner's one of my top 5 favorite guys. He's just because he's so cheap because of the injury. He's starting to get elevated. He's starting to catch up to that a little bit. I bought a ton while he was down. My question is, what happened to Aiden Miller? What happened second half to get him moving?
He seemed to just make some subtle adjustments with his approach, started to just be on time more consistently, and he hit 400 against fastballs from the All-Star break onward. So
wow.
he was, I think, just a little tardy, fixed that, and the rest was kind of history for him.
Didn't miss the fastball. I like it. All right, moving on. Rainiel Rodriguez and Charlie Condon.
I think holds, and Condon's weird because if he's going to be in Albuquerque, and I think I might be able to sneak one out in Albuquerque. So he's going to go nuts out there. So that's my one thing. I think he could hit a ton of homers. I think he's going to get to the bigs and struggle. So as Ham was alluding to, exit strategy there. But I think there is room to run because he's going to put up video game numbers in Albuquerque.
Yeah, I think lower on Rainiel, and I think Condon is he's going to see a pump, and then you get out.
Yep.
And he's dirt cheap right now, guys. He's dirt cheap. Like, he's too cheap.
Yep.
Like,
I know you're a Georgia boy.
I'm just telling you right now, the dude can mash. I don't know what his career is going to be, but he can mash, and he's too cheap. Like, for a guy that can hit to his level, he's too cheap right now. I mean, when you can buy $4.99 for $75. There's something wrong there for what he's going to do, like you just said, in New Mexico. My question is, why is Rodriguez flat or down? Because I've been hearing Basayo-type comps to him.
I think that's why. Because I think he's a really good player, and I like him, but I think he's just not Samuel Basayo. Yeah, I think his margin for error is not as wide as a guy like Basayo, who can leave the yard foul pole by accident.
Is he like Eduardo Tait?
Yeah, I would say cut from a more polished and better bat to ball, and that's why he's moving quicker. But I think he's closer to that than a Basayo, who, again, there's a reason why he's already making, close to 9 figures before even really playing games.
Last two guys, Tyson Lewis, which we talked about earlier, and then Joshua Gonzalez.
I would say lower, just because I'm still a little concerned about the whiff and chase. It's just too high, and higher. I think Joshua's really polished for his age, and I think he's going to be the top prospect comfortably in that Giant system once Eldridge graduates. But I've concerns that she can't sustain a 40% chase and 75% in zone contact rate at the lower levels like Lewis. But the exit velocities are so insane, it's worth a shot. But I go lower on Lewis, higher on Joshua.
I'm sitting here looking at Joshua, and I'm looking at his price point. PSA 10 base auto, $200. I see some run there. I'm not big on Lewis.
I'm going to be the contrarian here. I'm going Lewis higher, Joshua lower. I think a lot of those guys in the lower levels get forgotten a little bit. Tyson Lewis continues to come out and hit more bombs. People love the long ball. Chicks dig the long ball. So do prospectors. And I think he's going to hit the long ball, and people are going to like him. So I'm going higher for him. I'm going a little lower for Joshua. And we're going to wrap the episode up here, boys. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to go 5 pitchers are rapid fire. If you had only 5 pitchers you could put money in that are prospects right now, who would they be?
Ooh, okay. I think Harleen Susana is one that wasn't an injury that I don't think he can come back from with the lat. So I like that more than like a shoulder, more in the rotator labrum thing. It didn't happen there. So I like him in that respect, that to bounce back from that. I'll go Robbie Snelling. I think it's another guy that is going to have a clear rotation spot for the Marlins pretty soon, and probably early in the season, right after he can accumulate a full year of service time, would be my general guess there. I like Gage Jump with the Athletics. I think he's going to get an opportunity to pitch in that rotation at some point this year, and I'm a big fan of his. Jackson Wiggins, I know his price has gone up, but he is by far the best pitching prospect in the Cubs system, and I think they could do the fast track to the bullpen to help the playoff run this year, and then transition into a starter next year. And then I'll go for the last pick, Brody Hopkins with the Rays. The numbers were great. He's got to cut the walk rate, but I'll take a shot on a guy that has ace potential if he can just find the zone a little bit more.
All right, last segment of the day. Each guy, Aram, you start it. Ham, get a guy loaded up. I'll get a guy loaded up. Doesn't matter if it's prospect, Major League Baseball. Give us one wild card pick to wrap the show up today, boys. One guy you're like, you know what? We haven't mentioned him. We might not have talked about him last week, may not have talked about him today, or maybe we did talk about him today. Give me your favorite wild card pick. And this can't be a guy that's Konnor Griffin. It's got to be somebody a little that's either kind of gotten forgotten or that's under the radar a little bit.
You go first, Ham.
I'm going to throw my boy Xavier Isaac out there. I'm going to say Isaac had his surgery last year. He's got the power. He was a first-round draft pick. He dealt with injuries in high school. I feel like he's been kind of a thoroughbred stuck in a stable for a little bit. He wants to run. I think he's got the chip on his shoulder a little bit too. So Xavier Isaac, buddy, I'm pulling for you, man. Let's go.
I love that pick. That might have been mine if you didn't take it there. That was one of my favorites. And then I'll go AJ Ewing with the Mets. I think he's got to hit for more power, obviously, but I think he's going to leapfrog Jet Williams in the pecking order here. I think a lot of teams see it that way anyways. I know I do based on our rankings. And if he can grow into a little bit more pop, the speed is elite. The bat to ball is great. The approach is great. He can play pretty much every position. I love AJ Ewing in the Mets org.
I'm going to give y'all two because I like breaking rules. And so I'm going to give you one prospect. A prospect is Ryan Waldschmidt. I'm absolutely all in on Ryan Waldschmidt. When you look at the batting average, you look at the power, you look at the steals, he's got it all. And he's silently like a poor man's version of Kevin McGonigal and as an outfielder. And I really, really, really like Ryan Waldschmidt. I mean, the dude raked. When you look at his stats last year, 289, 18 bombs, 78 RBIs, 29 steals. Give me Ryan Waldschmidt at his current values. He's a forgotten guy. He's dirt cheap, and I love him. And my major
we had him on the
pick,
call up too. Sorry, real quick.
No,
well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say we had him on the call up, and one of the best personalities and like makeup guys we've had on. I'll bet on that side of things with him too any day of the week.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm right there because I really like him. Last guy for me is, and I'm going to go back to the well here, and this is a guy that I was not on at his release, and I've been waiting for the opportunity to buy him, and the opportunity is now before the season starts. Dylan Cruz. I'm doubling down. The guy was a top prospect, top pick, had an injury-riddled season last year. You talk about a guy that's got power, speed, flair, flash, and a growing team that's forgotten. Dylan Cruz, if I'm right, could be 5 to 10 times higher by the end of the season. He could be literally a 500 to a 1,000% return if he meets his potential. I love his upside. The downside's bottom, very low, but the upside is humongous.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, he's got all the talent. It's just a matter of figuring out how to stay on spin. It's 90% of the issue.
Well, boys, we have brought a wealth of information to our listeners today. And again, to those listeners that stuck with us, you obviously love this type of format. We obviously love this type of format. We try to mix it up with the show and bring some stuff that's, different. And then these episodes are intended to be deep dives, studies specifically for the purpose of education to help you kind of grow your prospecting side of the hobby and understand, how you can press into guys that you like or whatnot. And so we'd love to hear back from you. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let's have a little bit of sauciness here in the chat. So feel free to kind of let us know. But Aram, thank you so much, man, for always being willing to join us and provide your wisdom, your experience and understanding of the game. And Bubba, as always, buddy, we're ready to run. We're ready to go. And we appreciate you guys listening. Any final thoughts before we close the show today?
That's all I got.
My final thoughts is little Matt has just added a lot of players with asterisks, and we're about to buy, baby. We're about to buy. So strap it on, people, because it is game time and time to make money in the sports card hobby. So be ready. We are like mid-spring training now. I'm pumped. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in to the Sports Card CEO. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.